No Kings protests. And organizers say they expect millions to rally against President Trump's policies. That includes
crowds across the U.S. are joining rallies against the Trump administration. More than 2,500 protests under the banner of the No Kings movement are taking place. The protesters say they are standing up against Donald Trump's authoritarian policies, accusing him of believing his rule is absolute.
This weekend, something happened that the established political playbook has no name for. According to initial estimates, millions of Americans did not just gather in city centers and town squares. They didn't just hold signs for a candidate or against a single policy. They declared something far more fundamental and, for many, far more frightening. Declared no kings. This wasn't a protest in the traditional sense. It was a refusal, a collective nationwide act of civil disobedience against a system that a growing number of people feel no longer represents them, but rules them. It was decentralized, it was organic, and it cuts across the traditional left-right divide in ways that have both major parties terrified. Today, we're going to unpack what the No Kings movement really is. It's not about a monarchy in the literal sense. It's a metaphor, a banner for a deep, systemic frustration. We're going to look at the three pillars fueling this fire: the feeling of a powerless citizenry, the unchecked influence of new age digital empires, and the emergence of a permanent, unaccountable managerial class.
I think that the state of the world that we are in right now is really horrible. I want my rights back. I'm off. I need Trump out of office. And yeah, no kings. That.
This isn't just another news cycle. This might be the beginning of America's third revolution. The illusion of choice and the powerless citizen A. To understand No Kings, you first have to understand the quiet desperation of the modern American voter. For decades, we've operated under a simple premise. You don't like the direction of the country? You vote the other party in. It's the pendulum swing of democracy. But what happens when the pendulum is just ticking back and forth over the same spot while the clock itself is falling off the wall? People feel that their vote is less a tool of change and more a ritual of participation. They are presented with a binary choice, often between two candidates who seem to emerge from the same socioeconomic strata, educated in the same institutions, and funded by the same concentric circles of wealth. The platforms may differ at the edges, tax rates, regulatory approaches, but the fundamental architecture of power remains untouched. No King's protest is a direct response to this. The king here is not a person, but a system, a duopoly that feels unbreakable. It's the feeling that whether you elect a Republican or a Democrat, the military-industrial complex continues its hum, the intelligence apparatus grows, the national debt balloons, and the individual citizen feels smaller and smaller. This was crystallized for many by recent events, a deeply unpopular foreign war that continues regardless of public opinion, a pandemic response that saw a massive transfer of wealth to the top, while small businesses shuttered, dictated by a patchwork of unaccountable health bureaucrats, a border crisis that neither party seems genuinely motivated to solve. The protesters aren't just saying we don't like this president. They are saying we do not consent to this system of governance. They are invoking the spirit of 1776, not of a left-wing or right-wing movement, but of an anti-authoritarian one.
I encourage everyone to get out there in peaceful protest of what is happening in our country and express our voice around the country we believe in. So get out there and join the No Kings event near you.
The new aristocracy, digital and corporate feudalism, but the kings aren't just political. The founders feared concentrated political power, but they couldn't have envisioned the kind of concentrated corporate and digital power we live with today. The second pillar of the No Kings movement is a rebellion against our new, unelected aristocracy. Think about it. You have a handful of tech giants that control the public square. They can deplatform a sitting president. They shape the flow of information. They harvest and sell our most personal data. What court can you appeal to if Twitter or Facebook ban you? What vote can you cast to change their content moderation policies? There is none. They are sovereign nations in their own right, and we are merely tenants on their digital land. Then, look at the financial system. In 2008, after a crisis caused by rampant speculation and fraud in the highest echelons of finance, the American public was told these institutions were too big to fail. The kings of Wall Street were bailed out with taxpayer money. Not a single major executive went to jail. The message was received loud and clear. There is one set of rules for the connected, for the aristocratic class of finance, and another set of rules for everyone else. The No Kings protesters are saying they are tired of being serfs in this new feudal system. They are rebelling against the platform barons, the financial overlords, and the unaccountable institutions that wield more power over their daily lives than their own city council. They are rejecting the idea that their speech, their financial security, and their opportunities can be held hostage by a corporate boardroom in Silicon Valley or an investment bank in Manhattan. So when you put these three pieces together, the political duopoly, the corporate, digital feudalism, and the unaccountable managerial state, you get the tinder that the No Kings protest has set alight. This is why it resonated with millions. It's not a coherent, policy-driven platform. It's a mood. It's a primal scream against a system of layered, unresponsive authority. Brewery. The question now is, what happens next? The establishment will try to do one of two things: ignore it or co-opt it. They will label it as fringe, or they will try to funnel its energy back into the same old partisan trenches. See, they'll say, the No Kings people are really just our side, protesting their side. But if this movement has staying power, it will resist that. Its strength is in its ambiguity and its core, foundational principle, a rejection of top-down, unaccountable power in all its forms. The challenge for the No Kings movement will be to build something from this refusal. What does governance without kings look like? More localism, direct democracy, radical decentralization? These are the questions we will be grappling with for the next decade. This weekend, millions of Americans did something simple yet profound. They stood up and said, no more. They reached back into the deepest well of the American identity, the idea that legitimacy flows from the consent of the governed, and that consent is being revoked.
Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and the other multi-billionaires, the very same billionaires who funded his campaign, who have bestowed gifts upon him, and who have seen huge increases in their wealth and power since Trump took office. We rejected the divine right of kings in the 1770s. We will not accept the divine right of oligarchs today.
They weren't protesting a law. They were protesting the very concept of the ruler and the ruled. This isn't the end. It's likely just the beginning of a much louder, much more fundamental conversation about power, freedom, and what it means to be an American in the 21st century. What do you think? Is this a passing fever or the first symptom of a profound transformation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if this analysis resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching.